And we'll have a presentation of two digital platforms of longevity biomarkers, starting with Biolytica. And Robert, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
So, are we good? Perfect. Right. Hope everyone has enjoyed lunch. So, when we talk about longevity, we always need to talk about data. And we need to look at the data, collect the data, and work with the data. And we're talking about quite a bit of data, actually. So we're talking about molecules, supplements. We talk about drugs that we're using. We talk about optimizing for nutrition. We talk about optimizing exercise. We talk about lifestyle. We talk about other things. We talk about sleep. We talk about habits. We talk about mental health. We talk about genomics. We talk about biomarkers. We talk about aging clocks. We talk about all these different things, multi-omics, and so on and so on. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of data to digest, and that's very complex. But we can't really do longevity interventions from a practical perspective without actually understanding the data and using the data, because we can't just focus on one of the single areas, but we need to look at everything in context. And so essentially what we are doing at Biolytica, the company based out of Switzerland, we have developed a platform as a tool for clinics, for healthcare professionals in the longevity and preventive field, for prevention centers, that allows healthcare professionals to use all the data in a meaningful way. So that's everything from collecting very simple stuff like lab data. A lot of the clinics, longevity centers, they work still with PDFs, so that, of course, there's a lot of hassle to look at longitudinal data. We can connect to their existing EHR or their lab, or also load historical data, and make it easier to visualize that. It's not mine, but someone is looking for someone, apparently. Let's see. Genomics, of course, very important part. So we can take genomics data, use it, group it into pathways, look at what's relevant. We're looking at tracking medication. So what's someone taking at the moment? What has someone been taking in the past? Pharmacogenomics, based on genomics, also very important part. Wearable devices, of course, very important for understanding lifestyle, understanding habits. Of course, it's not clinically precise data, but for wearable data, it's all about looking at the trend mostly. So if I step on my smart scale every day and I see my changes in body composition, I see my changes in weight, yes, it's not really as precise as a DEXA scan, but it allows me to see a trend. So we integrate with more than 500 wearable devices, allowing to track everything essentially from all the Garmin's, Oura Rings, Fitbit, Suntos, whatever there is in the market. Then diet. As you all know, diet is one of the biggest impact factors in health, but how do you track that diet in a clinical context? You can ask people to do food journaling, and I can tell you already, if you've ever done a food journal, you do it exactly for 2 days, and then you're going to forget about it, you're going to start lying to yourself, you're going to start lying to your doctor, so it doesn't really work. But we all have a phone in our pockets, so we can take pictures of the food, allowing us to give the dietitians a history of someone's diets, review it, we can see patterns in diets, so that's also very important lifestyle data. Finally, we do track things like health history. Often, health histories are very boring, so we try to make it a little bit more interesting, visually also for the clinician, looking at everything from interesting parts before birth, and obviously that's just a dummy, but looking at things like, do you have any history of cancer, history of mental health issues, maybe you had an accident in your life that's causing you to have trouble, maybe you had a divorce that's causing stress, so all these things. And essentially what we want to do is one thing, or two things. First of all, we want to decomplexify the data. If we track longevity data, it's very, very complex, but you need to come up with specific things that you can do with actionable insights. So we try to take all these data points, present them in a different way to the clinics. They can create their personalized plans for the patients. We can track the progress, and therefore we can make sure that we get more personalized, better, more precise interventions. And one way we do it, and I'm just given time, just going to show you a tiny little bit. We take all the data and we load it in what we call our little pathway matrix, which is kind of a representation of the different pathways. So we have cellular pathways, inflammation, detox, oxidative stress. We have systemic pathways around hormonal health. We have cardiovascular pathways. We have metabolic pathways. We have activity pathways, nutritional pathways. So we take the data that we get from the DNA, for example. Then, of course, we need to look at the biomarkers. And what this allows the clinician is to kind of have something like a dashboard you would have in your car, where you can easily see, okay, oil change is necessary, there's an issue with the engine, check your brakes. So this is in a way the same thing, but for a clinician, where we can easily see, okay, down here, from a genetic perspective, we don't seem to have any high impact areas, but we have certain clusters around the cellular pathways, for example, around the cardiovascular pathways that we need to have a closer look at. And then, of course, we load the biomarkers from blood tests, from digital biomarkers. And this allows us to see, okay, maybe up there, oxidative stress, we seem to have some little bit of an issue, but it's not too bad, so let's keep that in mind for later. But then, for example, in the area of detox, we might have high impact genes, we might have an elevated blood biomarker, liver value, GGT, something like that. So then we bring it together. So yeah, that's essentially what we do. I'll talk tomorrow again a bit more details on that, so make sure to watch the presentation. And if you have any questions in the meanwhile, feel free to reach out, and I'll give the word to my colleague.
Thank you so much, Robert. So I guess it's very important for us to remember that we need a platform. We need platforms, and there's many of those coming up right now where we can put our longevity biomarkers. It's a little bit different or totally different depending on the scale of such a platform on to the EHR that we have in the clinics. We are usually talking in longevity about physical health, but we all agree that the mental health, behavioral health, and in general psychiatry is crucial and tremendously important. And the next platform that my friend Nawal will present will talk exactly about that. How do we manage to quantify and objectify data on mental and behavioral health? Nawal, the floor is yours.
Ready to set up?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
First of all, thank you very much for having this opportunity. A big round of applause for Eva. Let me give you a bit of a background around where we are coming from and what we have done. Holmusk is essentially a last 9-year journey in building probably one of the largest real-world evidence platform focused only on mental health. And if we are to take the premise that longevity, is going to have mental health as one of the key area by which, it can't be really get to the full scale, then from that perspective, a journey around building Holmusk will be a signal around what it will take if we really want to build overall longevity as a sector in a very, very large space. From that place, we have raised around 70+ million. We have really worked with every pharmaceutical company that is out there and some of the major healthcare systems in the world. But what has been challenging is around putting the data together and curating the data to a standard that is defined by the industry point of view. But let me not get into sort of what we have really done. Let me give you this perspective. Where we started was around building the NeuroBlue platform, which was a combination of some of the largest electronic health record data. And once we started collecting both the structured part of the data as well as the unstructured part of the data, mapping it to the OMAP model, and really making it industry standard was very, 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 very hard. I really thought it would be a journey of around 3 years, maybe around $3 to $5 million, maybe around 5 to 7 data scientists. It took me more than around 7 years, more than 50 million plus, and more than 70+ data scientists to build this. It is very hard to really read the unstructured data and really curating them to a level that is of scientific standard. On the back of it, what the key part that we have really done is the common data model that we have built. The common data model is where very common to capture the structure component of the data that sits in the electronic health record system, but very, very hard to curate the unstructured part of the data. And that is where I think we have used probably and have built probably the largest NLP library that goes around how to really extract the mental state exam that is going to be crucial to understanding. What I'm trying to get to is what can be done is phenomenal, but the pathway to get there is very, very hard, you know. And now we are reaching to a level where we are able to do almost near digital phenotyping of a patient, to a level that we can say that it's almost like digital biopsy of a patient. And it's a pathway to get to a digital biomarker, you know. And these are the factors that will be driven towards, you know, really forming the science that is needed. And 5 years back, we could not even publish one paper, you know, or even one abstract. You know, last year on the back of this platform, we have published 44 abstracts, you know. Hopefully in this year or the next year, we should be able to cross 100 plus abstracts. And that is the pathway to really giving you a sense of really defining the digital biomarkers related to, so far, only related to mental health, but I'm hoping that we will be able to extend this to the sector of longevity, you know. With that, I will, you know, more than happy to go into full detail around sharing this. Let me give you some glimpse around what we have. When we started, we approximately started around 20 years of longitudinal data for approximately around 500,000 patients. Hopefully by the end of this year, we should have approximately around 24 million plus lives, approximately all over on an average around 7+ years of data. And it is the backbone of literally using the full power of data at your fingertips. You will be able to analyze so that you are not spending a huge amount of time and dollar in articulating all of that. So the journey has just started. We have started with primary with electronic health record data, but on the back of it, we are able to load up every possible data architecture that is out there. So we can load up, you know, registry data, claims data, genomics data, service data, PRO data, what have you, you know. And so far it has been focused fundamentally on mental health. Within mental health, I can even say around schizophrenia, bipolar, MDD, and everything related with the neurodevelopment areas. But it can be extended to neurodegeneration. It can be extended to, you know, overall the longevity as a sector. And with that, I'll leave it to you guys, you know, and more than happy to answer any question. I want to be sensitive to the time that is there for the panels that is running late. So once again, thank you, Eva.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much.